Hey guys, back again. I didn't want to bore you with drilling and tapping. It seems pretty pointless. You've seen it all before. So what I've done here, I've got the set screws in, and that gives me, let me just find, hang on a sec, that gives me a pretty reasonable, I'm not sure what that's touching. Oh, that's just a bit low there. I don't know whether the T-slot is cut perfectly. Anyway, that's near as damn it got everything on the level. And whilst I'm here, let's turn that round. Whilst I'm here, I've got that drilled and tapped for small set screws. The colour, incidentally, in case anybody hasn't used it, I didn't bother to put blue on. I used copper sulfate, and once you degrease the surface it just goes that sort of light brown red. It's quite handy for marking up. And of course, because I used the roughing mill, the sides are pretty uneven, but I wasn't really going to be bothered to do a finishing cut, being lazy. So that's pretty much ready. And the one thing you probably will notice, which I pointed out before, this went out of parallel. Very annoying, aesthetically speaking, but I had so little space to set up on the mill. I thought I got the dial gauge reading the same, but it was only for a very short distance, so that's gone out of parallel. Most annoying. Oh well, anyway, the next thing is to see what we can do about a tool post. If you can hear wind, it's because it's windy. Yet again it's blowing a gale. Alright, it's decision time regarding a tool post, and there are lots of options. I may well finish up making more than one type of tool post setup, but for starters, what I'm going to try and use, I would like to have an insert, what I'd call a diamond insert, whatever. I'd like a larger one of these plus a suitable fixing screw, but I don't have one. And for the time being I'm going to try and use this tool holder. I'm going to put a hole in it because we've got to locate it. Now for the stand-up piece here for the tool post, it's it's very, very small. It's less than 3/4 of an inch. And I had talked previously about welding something up, but I think what I'm going to do, I've got some, is this 3/4, I think? Yeah, I'm just checking to make sure that I often mix up with metrics. Yeah, 3/4 by half bar, and which needs cleaning up and cutting, but I think if I put a small piece at the back end here and mill out a slot, 3/4 slot, obviously it's going to be rounded off at the front there. I'm not too worried about that. I could use smaller mills and make the radius smaller. I'll have to see. The thing is to stop this turning, alright? And then a small bolt underneath to secure it, so it'll then be fixed firmly and hopefully not rotate. And then the top end, we'll say this is the top end, I'll mill that to 3/8 slot, and that should give us a tight fit for the tool holder, which I'll probably cut down actually. This insert is actually technically one for cast iron, but for the time being it's going to have to do, and light cuts probably be alright. So we'll put a 3/8 slot in there, a hole in the tool holder, drill down into there and tap it, and go just a little bit low so that I can then use shimming to set my final tool height. So that is what I'm thinking at the moment. Well, I just put this 3/4 half bar in the 4-jaw and just face that up so I've got one decent end. I'm going to cut it off plus. I shall have to waste a little bit. Give myself enough to set up in the vise for the mill, and put the slot in the top for the tool holder, and then cut it to length. Let me think. Yeah, cut it to length, and then somehow manage to well, I've got to face the other end and then drill it and tap it. It's going to be fiddly with a small piece, but guess we'll manage. For centering on here, I've marked up this end pretty accurately and centre popped it. So instead of bothering with an edge finder, I've got a little centre. So I've set that up on X and Y, but I've locked the X now, which is what I'm concerned with, because I'm going to mill on the Y axis and get an 1/8 slot in there for the tool holder. Oh dear, got a bit of drift on that. I thought that vise was alright, but I think the jaws are a bit off. Right, well, it's back to the drawing board here. Had a problem with that last piece. Had it there on its own and centered it up. I'm just using the same approach. I've centered up in X and Y, but I've now critical for the X centering. I've locked that up. It's better. So we're going to try again. What we've got is 2 extra pieces of the same material clamped together. I'm using this big old milling vise because it's nice and sturdy, but I think the jaws have got a bit of wear. So I'm hoping here, if I've got those buttressed and I've taken it up real tight, that the cutter won't displace the material, which it started doing before. Little pieces are always a problem. Well, I'm just going to take a 25 thou cut and see if I can get away with it. Trying to avoid the other problem I had. Well, the workpiece is holding, that's just something. So I'm going to take light cuts until I get down close to depth. Well, with the securing problems and the fact this cheapy cutter doesn't seem to like too much in the way of depth of cut, I'm just doing 25 thou. Bit slow, but at one point earlier on it started trying to get into trouble. Bear in mind here that I'm going to go a little bit low so that I can shim the cutting tool. God, this wind today is something else, I tell you. Well, that's close to level. I'm probably going to go another 5 thou, maybe a bit more. I want this to be low in the slot. Of course, I haven't cut the tool post piece to its final length. I've got to be very careful with that, but I'm going to take about another 6 thou off here so that I go slightly below the level so I can shim it. Let's have a look, see. Okay, that's just below. I'm tempted to take another small cut just to play safe. I'd rather shim it than have to mess around later. Right, I got the 1/3" set up on some parallels. Just checking for truth this way. I got it as close as I need it to be. So I'm going to try and put a 3/4 mil in from the end. It's going to give me a radius spare space, but I'm not really too concerned because I only want a slot to protect against oh, my hand was in the way. I just want a slot to protect against rotation. I'm doing a quick cheat again here. I've just got a centre line and a centre pop, and I've found my centre so I can get the y-axis, which I've locked up. So we'll try and get the cutter fixed up now. I'm just going to try a 10 thou trial cut, see how we go. I've been taking mainly light cuts, and I'm just going to take one more, got me down to 100 thou, which will be enough to register the tool post. So I think it's plenty enough to register and stop it turning once it's bolted up. Here we are. I think that'll be alright. So I've got to do some drilling and tapping now. I tell you what, there's a lot of fiddle on this little project, and it's still, I title it experimental. Some things I'd have done different or better, and some of the milling hasn't worked out quite as good as it should be, because I think that old chuck I was using is not very true. Anyway, this piece here, in fact I can take that out now. It's I cut this off. This is what's hopefully accurate enough for fixing to the cross piece. I mean, this is the tool post. There we are. Yeah, this is the tool post, complete with a slight ding on it from the milling cutter. I shan't use that old chuck again, vise I mean. Anyway, I've faced that off and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Well, I've started on the drilling and, well, no tapping yet, but I'm on the drilling phase. But say, this really is crazy fiddly, this darn thing. So here's the slider. So now we've got a couple of holes in that. Counterboard the other side to take a cap screw, and then we will put the tool post, fiddly, so we'll get the tool post screwed into here, and of course I've got very little meat for screwing. That's why I've opted to have two screws for the for here, and then that leaves me the center here to take the tool piece, and I don't know whether I'm going to cut that down or not. May not need to bother. I'm just going to drill that clearance for a cap screw. I'm not going to counterbore it. We'll just have a lock washer. And then this is still slightly low. I'm hoping to do my final adjustments with shimming. Well guys, here's an update. I'm glad I didn't bore you with drilling and tapping and stuff. Heck of a game really, some of it. Anyway, we've got the cap screws in here, two of those, going into the tool post body, and then we've got one cap screw going down the middle. I could have gone right the way through, but because I may be experimenting with other tool post ideas, I've got some ideas to brace some spare bits onto some stock. At the moment, just do a quick eyeball check on the lathe. I'm probably about 10 thou below center, which is good because I want to bring it up rather than down. I tell you what, this shank here on the cutting tool, hard? Holy moly. I got a 332 through it, then an 1/8, and then I was going up towards clearance, and I think I ruined 2 drills. Anyway, I've got this has a 4.2 solid carbide. Thank goodness for that. Managed to get through. So we're getting there, and the last stage, hopefully, apart from setting up for center, is deciding what I'm going to use for the pivot. And I think I'm going to go a bit larger. I think I might turn down this little bit of brass, get a nice, I don't know, brass on steel, sort of self-lubricating, even though I might add some oil. So we'll move on to that as soon as I can. Well, we're sort of ready to try this out. I hardly dare. Yes. Anyway, on this, you know, I change my mind all the time. Every few minutes I change my mind. I've actually enlarged this hole slightly and made it undersized for some 10mm I've got, and that's now press fit. The thing is, I don't want this to rotate with the swivel base. I want it to be nice and square and solid, and then pivot in the T-nut. So let's put it together. So this is first time. I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll take that up there, and we'll just do a bit of guesswork initially. And oh, incidentally, I've drilled a temporary 1/4 inch hole in here. It is at 90 degrees. I thought I might have it different. I may yet have another hole. Later on I'll enlarge that and put thread it, do it properly. This is just to test. So the position of the cutting head from center is, at the moment, that's about, oops, you can't see, that's center. It's a bit too small, we'll come back a bit. This is very empirical, and we'll lock up the get the right hex key and lock up the tool post slide. I've really got to do put some graduations on here later, so I know what I'm setting it up for diameter. Right, let's just make sure that's firm. Just a minute, I can't do that. I'll get in the way, hang on a sec. Alright, I just noticed actually the this wasn't quite seating fully flush, and one of the cap screws was just about a thou or two proud. So what we're going to do now is put, if I can find what I'm looking for. Oh, well, I'd use some cutting oil. I was actually looking for another thing of oil and I can't see it. Anyway, the main thing here is to have some lube. And that should be helpful. As a matter of fact, I could almost, although this is probably going to have to be cut, because it's going to stop me getting up nearer to the chuck. So I don't know quite what's going to work best. Let's put this little piece of 1/4 inch. What the final handle here will have to be cranked. Probably come out an inch, come up. I can't really see yet how big a circle that's prescribing. What I'm going to do is put a piece of bar in the chuck. Alright, I've just been fiddling a bit. Setting this up is obviously very important. This is 20mm, so if I set the tool up on the end, and I'm not quite on centre. I haven't corrected that yet. It's we're a bit back from centre, so it's not going to be doing quite the right trick at the moment. But I'm just taking a few cuts to see if it's doing what it should. The base here, not quite as solid as I would like, but there again, everything's so darn thin. Let me just take a few cuts for you. Okay, alright, that took a while. Don't forget I'm still playing with it. I'm trying to get another view. I'll take another view just quickly. Now I'm going to be in the way here. I'm just trying to let you see a bit more. We're actually just passing the halfway. And of course, in the normal course of events, well, this is going to be shortened because I'm too far off from the chuck. This piece isn't running very true, and normally this would be on a much reduced diameter, so you can come right the way round. So this is nominally a 3/4 inch ball, and underneath the work we have about 3/8 spare, so I can probably go to about 1¼ inch, 1.5 ball. Let me just see if I can take a cut or two without getting in the way too much. Right, well, the finish is a bit rough. I don't think this is the ideal tool, so I'm probably going to experiment and make up some let me zoom back. Yeah, so I'm probably going to make up some different tools. I've got quite a few carbide bits which I can braze onto something here. Incidentally, I've got 2 shims, probably about 6 or 7 thou, and the tool is nearly level with the forks, if we call that forks. So the dimensions I did were reasonably accurate, but I prefer to have the option to shim up a little bit. Anyway, that's the beginnings. As I say, it's a pretty rough finish at the moment, but the profile is basically working. That's what matters. And I might do another video later when I've made a decent handle and see if there are any other refinements I can come up with. But in a sense, it works. Well, the memory card went full when I was trying to get wrapped up earlier on. What's this? Oh, I wonder what that yellow was. It's a spirit level holding the insulation against my window whilst it was windy. Anyway, just to wrap up, I've lost track of all the clips, long and short, because there's been quite a lot involved in this project. Not that it's overcomplicated, but a lot of sort of problems to get over, and it's still not ideal. But it was, and repeating myself over and over, it was an experiment. As I think I said on the previous clip, at the moment the cut isn't very good quality. It's not the right tool for the job. So probably make up some different tooling. The whole thing is certainly a bit too thin and skinny, but there again, it was just something to try out. Also a bit annoying with regards to some of the milling, which wasn't as accurate as I'd have liked. The big old milling vise I thought was pretty darn good, but it wasn't. It's not really totally square and parallel, it seems, and still getting used to the machine. But anyway, I may cram all this into a part 3, or I may split it. We'll have to see. Whatever. Thanks for sticking with it and watching.